Okay, so the whole screen is recording or just the SAS only?
Only SAS. I mean, whatever we do, it will be recorded only.
Okay, okay. So maybe I just need to close these ones. Okay, so anyway, so let's cancel this one. Okay, so yesterday we were talking about all the specifications and the control terminology. Okay, so today we are going to talk about the DM programming. Okay, which is the initial one, the SDTM. It's up to you. You can start with the listings and tables and figures. We can start with SDTM because sorry, because the flow of data is from raw data set to SDTM and Atom and TLF. Okay, so we're gonna go like that: SDTM, then Atom with TLF. Okay. Okay, so okay, go. Okay, so the specification is this one. Okay, so okay, I'm just gonna change the color back.
I think you're not sharing your screen.
Oh, you don't seeing the specification?
No, I cannot see your screen.
I put entire screen.
Yeah.
Okay, how about now?
No. Yes. Now.
It's okay now?
Yeah.
Okay, how about Bala? You okay?
Yeah, I can see.
Okay. Okay, just gonna change the color for understanding. Any color. Okay, so I yesterday I was given like how do we write the specification, right? So based on the implementation guidelines, SDTM implementation guidelines, we write the specification for each domain. Okay. So so the demographic, which is the usually it we call as initial one, which is related to the subjects. So here the content is one record per the structure of the data set is one record per subject. So you will have one subject and one row for every subject. Okay. So XPT files, which is for submission, we will talk about later. And this is the one, the variable name and variable label type. All those ones will be in the specification here. Okay, so today we're going to derive all those ones with just direct mapping with raw data set. Okay. Okay, so here before we start any data set, we should have to write some header part. Okay, maybe you heard about this one or not, I'm not sure, but there is always be header part there. So I'm just gonna bring that one. So this is the header part. So you can copy. Okay. So the basically it represents the what is your program, okay? What is your program and what is it about? Everything will be here. So the file name is DM, which is demographic data set. Also, who's the programmer? So either you can put your name there, and what is the date? Okay, so you can change your date for today's date. Here 8 June 2023. It is preferable if you can put in date 9 format. Okay, so yeah, it's the same thing. Date 9. So the platform is Windows XP. Mine is Windows 11. You can say like that. And the project, we can write the project title here. Then description of these data sets to develop the descriptions. And what are the input data sets you're going to use? What are the raw data set you're going to use? Those one you will be mentioned here. Okay. For this one, we are going to use demo raw, raw and expose. Whatever the data sets you're using, the raw data sets, you will be mentioned here. Okay, and the output data set will be in the library SDTM, which is the library we're going to create, and it's going to be the DM data set is going to be saved here in this library. Okay, and if you have using any macros, so that you can mention here what are the macros you have used. And this is the real time. Okay, this is in the real time scenario. You will have to mention everything. And there is a modification history. For example, if the new programmers come, like for example, one program is left from the company and the new program is joined and he wants to see this program, okay, and he wants to modify this program, the previous programmer whoever left. So whatever the modify for the previous programmer programming, he has to write down here with the date and the first name and last name and what are the modification, and just like audit trail, in the pharma. So you just need for tracking purpose, you have to write those ones. Okay. So the basically all your program should be controlled, well controlled as a quality wise. Okay, so just tell me like how do we create the library? How do you create the library in the SAS?
Libname, and we give a name and we copy the file path.
Okay. And is there anything any other way we can create?
Through export option, sorry, import option, proc import.
Yeah, you can do the proc import is only for the one file, I guess. So
Actually,
yeah,
libname. One thing I noticed during my practice was, say if the SAS application is open on the laptop, and if the data sets are out on your desktop, I directly try to open the data set, and they automatically went into libraries. But I don't know how accurate that process is.
I'm not sure even. Can you repeat again? Which one you're talking about?
Okay, so I have my SAS application open.
Yeah.
I minimize the SAP application.
Okay.
So before I wanted to bring the data, I have some SAS data set for practice. Some SAS data sets, but they're on my computer. Normally, for them to bring into the libraries, what I know is like give a libname. Put libname and give whatever name you want to give, and then copy the path in quotation.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But what I did was like I just want to open on my computer, like the data sets which are on my computer. I just wanted to open it. I clicked on one of the data set and the whole folder automatically came into SAS application. I don't know how it happened, but I tried it like many times and it happened.
Okay, I don't even know exactly how it works. But anyway, that's the libname statement is the one we use it for if you need to bring the like multiple files into the SAS environment. Okay, so I'm going to bring the raw data first set first. So I copied the link. Maybe you saw it before. So I just copied from here. So the raw data sets will be here. They are hiding. Okay, they are hiding now. Oh, they are hiding there. Okay, now 1 second. This is not the raw data sets here. Oh, where did I kept it? These are the programs. It's not raw data set. It's not showing the raw data sets here. Oh yeah. Okay, so I'll bring this link. Okay, so okay. So I'm going to create the SDTM library also somewhere so that we can, because we need to save this DM dataset, right? So I'm gonna save it somewhere here. Okay, so the first one, we are bringing the raw data sets from this folder, and the second one, we are creating the one library so that at the end of this demographic, so that we can save it in this library. So when you save it, your data set will be here for the DM data set automatically when you execute that one. Okay, these are the two steps are important. So the initial steps always be have to bring your raw data sets from your server. So usually what happened in the real time, so you don't need to do anything, this kind of thing. This is automatically allotted in the particular folder. So in each project, you will have some folders. Okay, for Adams, we have a folder. For SDTM, we have a folder. For raw data set, you have a folder in the TLF. So for the macros, everything you have like individual separated folders. So all those one will be, you will be get from there only. And even there are some macros. Okay, if you run that macros, it does automatic, everything goes into the particular. So you don't need to do anything about this one in the real time. But for the practice purpose, we can do like this. Okay, so execute, I run it, and you check the log window if you have any kind of errors. So the raw was successfully assigned here, and the SDTM was successfully assigned. Okay, so you can have a look. So here, so we have these raw data sets, and based on this raw data set, we're going to create our DM data set. Okay. Okay, so we are here. First of all, we need to create all these variables. Okay, in the programmatically. So we have the nodes here, and based on the nodes, we can able to create our data set. Okay. In the real time, it is always be good if you write, if you write your comments for each and every steps. Like here, you're creating like anything you can bring in raw data set. Just for understanding purpose. Okay, so the next programmer, he can understand what is this step of, and it is useful for you to practice also, and this way you can see your program is very good looking. Okay, so we are just creating the DM mapping. Okay, so the data DM1. Okay, one more question. Like you can able to do in uppercase or lowercase is up to you. Either you can use all or uppercase. DM1, or you can use small letters. It's up to you how you want. So the study ID. Okay, so before we need to get what is the raw data set. So here they said raw.study. Okay. So we have here some demograph. Okay, one second, I'll show you the CRF so that you can have a better idea. Okay, so in the the CDM people, they already indicated, they already mapped for the demographic details. It should be from the demograph. Okay, so you should have to take from that raw data set. So here the raw data set is demograph. So we need to keep that bring. So demog. Demog. Okay, so you can keep it like as I want. So you're bringing this all the information from this raw data set. Okay, so we have study and subject ID, gender. So the total we have 48 subjects as per the protocol. You maybe did you read the protocol, right? How many subjects in the protocol? So total 48 subjects. I think Marida, I sent you the protocol also, and the Dwala, I also sent you the protocol. So it should be there inside. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I usually prefer to do like this. Okay, some people they do different way, but it's up to you how you want it. So I just copied all these variables and pasted there. And I derive one by one each. Okay, so basically what you're doing is just standardize your weight. Okay, so you go to the specification. The specification is your Bible here. So the study ID, the first one, it should be the required variable. So it must and should be in the program in the data set. Okay. So the origin will be the protocol or CRF, and they also put giving the programming derivation. So it should be set to raw.study. Okay. So in the raw dot demogra dot this data set. So this is the variable, study variable. So you pick this one. Okay. I copied it. So here you have to just double click on it on the top of the variable, and you do. So there is a function called strip. Okay. So the strip function, what does it do? If you have any kind of blanks or any kind of spaces in between this value, it can be removed.
Trailing space.
Yes, strip functions. So there it is. One variable we have derived and completed. Okay, based on the specification. It's asking for the raw dot study, so we took that variable, and even in the CRF, it mentioned you CRF in the like from here. They mentioned the study. You see the study there for the CDM people, how they sorry. Yeah. So you see the study, the CRF people they do, and the same variable will be here, the study. So for our study ID, we need to take study. Okay, so you don't need to do every time for the CRF. Sometimes in the real time they will give you as Excel sheet, like in Excel sheet they will give which variable map to the which variable map to the SDTM variable. So in real time they do like that, but in the general way we prefer to go to the CRF and check one by one subject ID, the DM dot subject ID, like site ID, something like that. Okay. So we're gonna go for the next one, which is the domain. So the domain will be, okay, so the domain here. So this is the one which is 2 characters and it is a required variable. You just need to assign as a DM, okay? So where is the implementation? So as per implementation guidelines, there is a control terminology for DM, okay? So you go to the control terminology. Okay, so there is a control terminology. You should remove the filters. Did we find DM yesterday? Okay, so here. So if you have a small letters in the raw data set, you always have to represent in the uppercase of DM. Since we don't have the raw values here, we don't have it, I guess. We don't have it. So you just simply assign it as a DM. Just let me know if you feel confusing, just so that I can go slower, okay?
Ali, I have a question.
Yes.
Normally, like now what we are trying to do is like you're basically renaming the variables, right? Because you're trying to pull the information from this table. You're trying to pull into DM1 data set, right? And then you're
Yes.
trying to change the names of and you're trying to change the names because that is what we want.
Yeah, I'm just trying to assigning, I'm just trying to mapping with the raw data set variables. That's what we have to do. Because
But yeah, my point is like the domain DM is that variable is not existed in demograph raw table.
In the raw table, yes.
So we have to give a new variable. Do we use the same method what you're doing right now?
Yes, you see here in the DM, the domain variable, it's asking for assign. There is no origin, so it's not asking for any origin. So you just assign as a DM. You just keep it as a DM directly in the program. So if you're asking for assign something, so you whatever in the comments you put it like right away like that.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, I get that point, but I mean,
if you don't have in the raw data set, and this variable is required, right? This as per the
yes. So can we just use this mapping method to do that?
Yeah, here you see here 2-character abbreviation of the domain. So for the DM, what is the abbreviation for the 2 characters? It should be DM in the C disk notes. Did you get it, or are you still confusing?
No. My question was like, so if you want to create a new variable, do we use the mapping method? That is what my question was.
In terms of new variable, what do you mean the new variable? Like we are in the standardized in the SDTM, we just taking these variables only. We are creating only these variables.
Yes.
We're not going to create any new variables. Okay. The new variables you will be created in Atom level, not in the SDTM level. So whatever the variables are here in this table, we are going to directly map with the raw data set variables.
Can you go to the SAS screen once?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, if you go to the editor window, please. Okay, now we are putting domain is equal to DM, right? Because okay, first consider study ID. Now go to the view. Can you go to view table, please? Okay, because there is a study variable and we want our study variable as study ID. That is why you are mapping it.
Yeah, because here in the programming they mention as you have to map as a study variable.
Yeah, the same thing now when you're putting domain is equal to DM.
Yes.
Where is the domain in the in this table. Like
Yeah.
it's
If
not
you
there.
have it,
Basically, we are
if you
creating.
have it, is okay. If you don't have it, you still have to be assigned
Yeah, that's
because this
so
is the
basic.
required variable.
Yeah, because basically we are creating a new variable here.
Yeah, in terms of raw, if you are equivalent with SDTM and raw data set, yes, because in the raw data set you don't have that variable. In the SDTM, you should need to be required. You
Yeah.
should need to have to keep it. And how do you keep it? You just go to the DM, and it's just two character abbreviations. And even in the specification, because based on the specification only, you're going to create your programming, right?
Yeah.
So they will mention, you just assign as a DM. You just keep it this domain variable, which is a required variable, and keep it as a DM like this.
Yeah.
Like apostrophe years. So they will mention you. So they don't do any kind of just remove. If you don't have in the raw data set, don't keep. They don't select that because this is a required variable, and it should have to be in your data set, SDTM data sets. These are the identifier variables, unique subject ID, subject ID. They are all required variables. You should have to keep it. Even though if you don't have in raw data sets, but in the specification they will mention how do we derive those ones. Okay. In case if you don't have in the raw data set, in the specification they will mention either it is from coming from the, you can take directly from the CRF or you can take it from the protocol. They will mention in there in the specification, and based on the specification you're creating your SDTM not from the raw data set.
Yeah.
Okay. You're not going to raw data set. Okay, here you have some age unit and you should have to put age unit there. No, you should have to do it with your specification, SDTM specification.
Yeah.
So the specification will be written by the programmers only, right? Sometimes what happened, you do like simultaneously. You are developing one programming. For example, if you finish the DM specification, and they will give right away to the programmer to create the data set. And they do for other the whoever creating the specification, they will busy with other data sets. Okay, other data set writing the specification. So they kind of simultaneously work everything. They're saving the times. Clear? You have anything else? Okay. So we are doing SDTM based on our implementation guidelines. So I'm sorry. So all these variables are taking from the implementation guidelines only. If you can cross verify with this, all these variables, how many variables are here? 1 second. So 29 variables. So you will be get everything from here is the 29 variables. All these things you just copied when you're creating your specification. He or she just copied everything, and then he developed the specification. Whether he need how do you keep that one? If he need based on the protocol, he will keep it. If he doesn't need it, he just leave it as a blank, which means you don't need to include those ones. Like for example, the permissible variables. So this one you don't need it because this data is not there in your raw data sets because this is a permissible variable. If it is expected variables, if you have missing values, it still has to be included. So that's why he's giving the instructions here. For the ARM series, obviously there is no notes are here, but I will explain you because maybe I can remove that. Somehow the notes are missing, but we still need these ones because these are the required variables. Okay. And if you have a permissible variable, if you have your information, you just have to include your data set. If you don't have it, just leave it as it is. Okay. So we go to the next one, which is the unique subject ID. So this is the unique subject ID and the origin is derive. So we need to derive based on the study ID, site ID, and subject ID. So you have to concatenate. And what are some concatenate functions we use it in SAS?
What is that?
Okay, so basically is going to concatenate with study ID.
Not much right now. Not much.
Okay. So anyway, so before that unique subject ID, we need a subject ID and site ID because these are the two we needed for creating the unique subject ID. So the subject ID will be Where is it? So this one. So raw dot subject ID. Okay. So you just simply put your strip dot. This one. Okay. Site ID. So raw dot site. Okay. Okay. So there is no. So here. Okay, so we got study ID, subject ID, and site ID. So for that, we can create a unique subject ID, study ID, site ID. We have it. Okay. So you can use the catex function for concatenating your these three variables. Okay, or you can use like concatenate function. There's like like pipe function.
Yeah.
So you can just take this one and use concatenates.
Blank.
Yeah, because you see here there is a blank there. There is a hyphen in between the
hyphen. Yeah, we give hyphen.
Yeah. Okay. So so the next one should be site ID.
We don't want to use strip here.
Well, you can use a strip. It's already used it, right? So strip here already use everything. For site ID, we already use it.
Yeah.
So we don't have to so many times.
Hyphen.
Okay, so the next one is subject ID. So, okay, this is the why we create our unique subject ID. Okay, the unique subject ID is the main thing because it represents the subject for unique way. Like for example, the subject ID you have it already, but unique subject ID. What is the difference between these two? The subject ID, for example, if you have a multiple clinical trials, the same subject taking different drugs. Okay, for each time the subject ID will be different because for each clinical trial the subject ID will be different. But when you have unique subject ID, if we are going for the multiple clinical trials, okay, is going to have the same unique subject ID because is based on the study ID, site ID, and subject ID, right? So if you have two different studies, the study will be having one study ID and site ID and subject ID. So the unique subject ID is a very common, unique way. So even if you, most of the time you're taking this one, not this one, okay? The unique subject ID is the main one to, sorry, main one to sort it out, and whatever you do analysis by keeping any kind of variables, the unique subject ID is the must and should have to be there.
I mean, if the subject is taking multiple.
Yeah, for example, if the subject is the same subject ID, if the one patient is going to the two different studies, okay?
Yeah, two different studies. Yeah.
For each time the subject will be the different because one study he's giving one ID, another study he's giving another ID, but the unique subject ID will be the same person. Okay, if you're giving this one unique subject ID, it's going to be the same person in the two different study. There is a few difference, but I'll give you the notes so that you can have a look. Okay, I give the difference between subject ID and subject ID. There are 4 or 5 points there, so I'll give that. So we finished any subject already. The next one is, this one is done. So far we have done these 6 of them. So you can change it as a green color so that we don't mix up with the next time. So we have RF XTDTC and RF ENDTC and RF XE XTDTC ENDTC. So these are the main These 6 of them is main, the start date and end time of the subject. Okay, when the subject was started the drug, and when the subject was ended the drug, and when the subject was taking the first treatment, and when the subject is finished the study treatment, and when the informed consent, like when the subject was signed for the informed consent, and when would be the last participation of the date of the last participation of the study. Okay, so we are going to derive these ones. Okay, and it's very important in the interviews. They will ask you what is the difference between these three. Okay, like for example, what is the RF-STDC and what is RF-ENDTC? What is the difference between these two? You just say subject reference start date and subject reference end date. Okay, and X STDC, which is the first study treatment, and RF extend, which is the last study treatment. Okay, so what is the difference between RF STDC and RF STDC? So RF STDC is the initial date. Like for example, you're going to go taking the screening. You still don't have the drug, but you're going to involve in the clinical trial. You do some screening, right? All your they check your physical parameters, everything. And that time, that is the date when the subject is entered the study. That is the date is RF STDC, and when the subject is taking the first treatment, that is the RF STDC. There's a huge difference between these two. Okay, and when the subject is signed for the informed consent, like for example, he's voluntarily taking the study drug, and he has to sign for the informed consent, and when is that date, the information will be given here. And when is the last, like is finished, and he's not going to come back with this study, and that is the last participation of the date. Okay, so the RF.
What is the difference between the RFP and DTC and RFE and DTC then?
Subject reference ended. Like for example, so for example, if the like okay, for example, the disposition, like if for example he came here for taking some trials, right, for the screening purpose, and he's continuing the study, and somehow he wants to like he's not taking any treatment, but he wants to discontinue. Okay, discontinuation from the study. Maybe he has some reasons. Okay, so maybe he has screen failure. So that date will be coming here in RF ENDTC. So any kind of like that screen failures, dispositions, you will get this here. When exactly